The item that was missing. Laura was 32 years old, and she had a beautiful life. She had learned English, she had traveled the world, and she was happy. 3 check marks on her old plan, 3 dreams made real. She kept that worn-out notebook on her shelf for years. The cover said, Uma Decision, make your dreams happen. Below it, her own handwriting listed, learn English, travel the world, help others, be happy. Every time Laura looked at that page, she felt proud. She had done what most people only talked about. She had studied every night after work, saved money for 2 years, and spent 6 months backpacking through Europe and Southeast Asia. She had learned to speak English with confidence, made friends from a dozen countries, and came back with a heart full of memories. She was happy. Really, she was. But that empty line, help others, stared back at her like an unanswered question. For a long time, Laura told herself it did not matter. She was not a doctor, not a teacher, not a missionary. She was just an ordinary woman with an ordinary job. What could she possibly offer? Helping others felt like something for saints and heroes, not for someone like her. She had her own problems, her own bills, her own stress. How could she give anything to anyone else when she was still figuring out her own life? So she ignored it. She filled her days with work, with gym sessions, with dinner dates and weekend trips. She checked all the boxes of a successful life. She posted beautiful photos on social media. She received likes and comments from friends who admired her. You are living the dream, they said, and Laura believed them. But late at night, when she scrolled through photos of her adventures, something felt incomplete. The views were stunning, the food was delicious, the hotels were comfortable. But the memories that stayed with her the longest were not the monuments or the beaches. They were the faces. The street vendor who smiled at her in Bangkok. The elderly woman who shared her umbrella in London. The children waving from a window in Vietnam. The old man in Peru who offered her a piece of bread when she looked lost and hungry. She had received so much from the world, but what had she given back? Laura tried to push these thoughts away. She told herself she was being too philosophical, too dramatic. Life was not a motivational poster. You did not have to save the world to be a good person. She had worked hard for her dreams, and she deserved to enjoy them. There was nothing wrong with that. But the empty line remained. It haunted her like a whisper she could not silence. One rainy Tuesday, everything changed. Laura was walking home from work, her umbrella struggling against the wind, when she saw a small crowd gathered outside the community center. A flyer on the door said, volunteers needed English classes for immigrants and refugees. She almost walked past it. Her umbrella was dripping, her feet were tired, and she had a meeting in an hour. But something made her stop. She read the flyer again. Then she thought about that empty line in her notebook. She thought about all the people who had helped her during her travels, the strangers who had shown her kindness without expecting anything in return. That night, she sent an email offering to help. The next Saturday, she showed up at the community center, nervous and unsure. A young woman from Syria named Amira was waiting there, holding a tattered textbook. Her English was broken, but her eyes were eager. Please, Amira said, I need to learn. I need to work. I need to help my family. Laura sat down beside her. For the first hour, she felt clumsy. She was not a trained teacher. She stumbled over explanations and forgot simple grammar rules. She mixed up verb tenses and could not explain why some words were irregular, but Amira did not mind. She laughed at Laura's mistakes, and Laura laughed too. They spent the whole afternoon going over basic sentences. My name is Amira. I am from Syria. I want to be a nurse. When Amira finally said a full sentence without hesitation, she clapped her hands and shouted, I did it! Her joy was so pure that Laura felt a warmth spread through her chest, a warmth no vacation had ever given her. It was deeper than any sunset, more fulfilling than any souvenir. She came back the next Saturday, and the next. Soon, she was teaching a small group of 5 students, then 10. Each one had a different story. A father from Afghanistan who had lost his entire family, a mother from Congo who had walked for weeks through the jungle to escape violence, a young man from Venezuela who had left everything behind to find a better future. They all carried heavy burdens, but they all showed up with hope. Laura found herself staying late, preparing lessons, looking up teaching methods online. She stopped going to the gym. She canceled some dinner dates. She did not mind. For the first time, her English was not just a tool for her own adventures, it was a bridge for someone else. Every word she taught was a key that opened a door. Every sentence was a hand reaching out. She started to see her students not as refugees or immigrants, but as people. People with dreams just like hers. People who wanted to learn, to travel, to help others, to be happy. Their plans were not written in a notebook, but they were written in their hearts. Weeks turned into months. Laura's life changed in ways she had not expected. She no longer cared about fancy restaurants or expensive trips. Her weekends were now filled with laughter, with mistakes, with small victories. She watched her students pass their first tests, get their first jobs, send their first emails in English. Each milestone felt like her own. One evening, Amira came to class with a letter in her hands. Her hands were shaking. Her family had been approved for permanent residence. She had passed her English test with a high score. She was going to start nursing school in the fall. "You did this," Amira said, hugging Laura tightly. Tears streamed down both their faces. "No," Laura replied, her voice breaking. "We did this together. You did the hard work. I just showed up." Amira shook her head. "You showed up when no one else did. You believed in me when I did not believe in myself. You gave me hope." That night, Laura went home and took her old notebook from the shelf. She opened it to the page with her plan. The 3 check marks still gleamed proudly. But now, they looked different. They were not trophies anymore. They were steps. Steps on a staircase that led somewhere she had never imagined. She picked up a pen. Her hand trembled just a little. Then, with a slow and steady stroke, she marked the final line. Help others. She closed the notebook and smiled. She had traveled the world. Yes. She had learned English. Yes. She was happy, happier than she had ever been. But now she understood. The 4 items were not separate dreams. They were one single dream, completed in order. You learn, you go, you receive. But only when you give back, the circle closes. And that was the decision that changed everything. Not the decision to study. Not the decision to buy a plane ticket. Not even the decision to be happy. It was the decision to stop looking at her own life and start looking at someone else's. Laura never became a saint or a hero. She remained just an ordinary woman with an ordinary job. But she had done something extraordinary. She had made her dreams happen. All of them. Every single one. She thought about the number 3 on the cover of her notebook. At first, she had thought it meant nothing, just a design, a random number. But now she understood. 3 was the number of dreams she had completed by herself, and the 4th, helping others, was the one that completed her. Months later, Laura received an invitation. Amira was graduating from nursing school, and she wanted Laura to be there. Laura sat in the front row, watching her student walk across the stage in a cap and gown. When Amira received her diploma, she looked straight at Laura and smiled. That smile said everything. "Thank you. I made it. We made it." After the ceremony, Amira handed Laura a small gift. It was a new notebook. On the cover, Amira had written in her careful handwriting, "Make your dreams happen, and help others make theirs too." Laura hugged the notebook to her chest. She had started with a plan. She had ended with a purpose. And every Saturday, when she walked into that community center and saw her students' faces light up, she remembered the cover of that old notebook. Believe in yourself. Because when you believe in yourself enough to help others, you discover that your own dreams were never just about you. They were always about the people you would meet along the way, the people you would teach, the people you would lift, and the people who would, in turn, teach, and lift you. Laura looked at her reflection in the window of the community center. She was not the same woman who had walked past that flyer on a rainy Tuesday. She was stronger, softer, braver, and more humble. She had traveled the world, but she had found her true home right here in a small room filled with broken English, big dreams, and beating hearts. She opened her new notebook and wrote, "My new plan. Keep learning. Keep traveling. Keep helping others. Keep being happy." She smiled. This time, there was no empty line, because the most important decision she had ever made was not about herself. It was about everyone else. And that decision, that one small decision to help, had changed not only her life, but the lives of everyone she touched. And that, she finally understood, was what it truly meant to make your dreams happen. Did you enjoy this story? If Laura's journey touched your heart, I invite you to be part of this community. Like this video, it helps more people find this story. Comment below. Tell me, which item from Laura's plan inspired you the most? Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another emotional story. Share with a friend who needs to hear that it's never too late to help others. Remember, your dreams are valid, but sometimes the best dream is helping someone else achieve theirs. Believe in yourself, and believe in others too. See you in the next story.